What do you got there? Well, this video is going to be a little different. My buddy got his deer for the season. I think he might even be looking for one more. And I helped him butcher it. I also, as you can see, I gave River a leg. We're out in the woods, he's burying the leg. It's like, it's going to be 19 degrees tonight. Right now it's like 28 degrees. It's pretty cold out and very windy. No fun. But just like Tennessee, by Friday it'll be 55 out and raining. So, it is what it is. This episode we're going to butcher a deer. I also went fishing. We'll do a catch and cook, and I'll actually show how we used an electric knife to fillet the fish. And man, it makes, you can get through 60 fish a lot faster with an electric knife. It's kind of amazing. So I'll show you that process. I'm going to try to keep the deer, the butchering of the deer and the cooking of the meat and stuff like that, because I actually cooked, we're going to do on land and sea. I cooked fish and I cooked deer. So yeah, let's look at River's got his little spot here. He found a spot to put his deer leg. He's really good at burying things because he grew up outside. He's not a carpet barrier. He buries things in the woods. Yep. We'll come get that tomorrow. So this is a different kind of episode. I've never really cut up fish, and I definitely haven't cut up a deer before in my entire life. So it's going to be very different. But it's all part of me moving to use the store less and gather my own food, and that's why I moved into the wilderness, so I could do this kind of thing, and I'm learning how to do it, and this is the first step. So join me. This will be an interesting video. Well, the first part is about getting fish. This is a shell cracker. It eats little tiny shelled mussels on the bottom of the water, and that's where it gets its name. This is the deer that my buddy got. And we're going to butcher it all up and have a cookout. This is my buddy's boat. That's Jamie and Bebo. Bebo quietly catches fish off the back of the boat the whole time we're out. That is a good looking fish though. It's just small. Beautiful. Look at that shell cracker.
Red ear.
Red ear. Oh, it's a pretty fish. We're gonna eat it. Oh, what is that?
Little white bass stripe.
Oh, motherfucker. Damn. Stay in the boat. You spilled the fucking beer. Relax, bro. That's how big it is compared to the beer. The bald eagles, they've been everywhere lately. I just stabbed myself with the fin trying to grab my fish out of there. We got 60 of them. Little shell crackers. Now I watch and I obviously film, but after a while I at least try every single thing that we're doing here. So I tried to fillet a fish. I got one really well, and the next one I did horribly. And then I sat and I deboned the ribs out like Bebo's doing for at least 20 fish. So I got that part down too. And same thing with the deer. While you're looking at me film the deer, I did put the camera down and did every single part that they did just so I knew what I would have to go through if I were to shoot my own deer. So I pulled the skin off. I did everything that they did, which we're going to get to in a minute here. There you go. That's how it gets done right there, people. Dude's sticking his tongue out at you, Jamie. Oh, this is gonna be rich, dude. You don't know nothing about that, do you?
Hell
Look, if you don't know what to do. The deer's not running from him. Just insane. That's a strange ass hanger. Look at it, goes right through the leg.
Right.
The hanger.
You got red here.
1, 2, 3, 4. 8-point buck. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8-point buck. And it's almost gonna be more. It was growing. That's crazy. It's got some serious muscle. And its neck is thick as shit too. You rinsing it out? You're gonna see Jamie do this later too. Wetting the hair on the deer makes it so it clumps together and it doesn't get all over the place and blow in the wind. So keeping it wet helps. The first thing I want to tell you about this whole process, you guys, is that it was not as gory or bloody as I thought. Essentially, there is no blood involved. It was killed a few days ago. It was hung, and gutting it originally is, from my understanding, going to be the most bloody and what have you. This thing has had frozen jugs of water inside of it, and it's been hanging for a few days. So the only area that you're going to see anything gory or what have you is actually where the gunshot wound is, which is just by the heart, right in the middle of the chest, which you'll see during this whole process a couple times. Once you get rid of the paws, or the hooves and the head, and you get the fur off of it, it actually just looks like a chunk of meat that you bought at the store. Well, good looking chunk of meat that you bought at the store.
Hold on.
It just takes a minute to get to that point.
No, you put me before, but we ain't ready yet.
This is one of those things that you almost have to do to understand. While he is using a blade to cut between the skin and the meat, it's this white tissue that's really elasticy, and you're not cutting with the blade, you're almost sliding it along there just to rough it up so you can tear it back a little bit. You're not in danger of cutting too much meat out because it's such a thin layer of this white tissue. It's almost like pulling the skin off of a chicken after it's fried, except that it's really hard to get off. You know, it's difficult.
I ain't never seen one like that. So tough.
Oh,
There
shit.
you go. I was wondering where you was at. Cutting around his asshole. Alright, let me get the other side started. In a second, we'll get this hide off here. You'll see something pretty cool.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at this.
This is the part that I gave River, and Nookie got one, the Doberman, Jamie's dog too. They love it. River's been carrying it around for 3 days.
There it go. I've ever seen stuck to it.
So if you look there, that hole right in the middle of the chest right there is the gunshot wound going in and out, and what you're seeing there that's black is the dried blood. That's the only part that has any blood left. It's like you're trying to take his sweater off. Jamie said I could have that, but once I learned how hard it would be to turn it into an actual rug, I said, no, thank you, and we fed it to the wild animals. Now, if you had asked me 10, 15 years ago if I was ever going to do something like this, I would have said, nope. I was raised in a city. I had been around farms because I owned horses and what have you, but I never killed animals to eat them. I always bought my food at the store. So what we're doing right here, actually butchering this, is so far out of left field for me. However, I have come to believe that this is much better meat than you can buy at a store. This animal ate wild grass its whole life. It was going to die regardless if Jamie killed it or not. And the number of deer carcasses that I see on the side of the roads here or on the side of the water in the lake and the river it's startling. So for me to see something that we're actually going to eat and use, and it hasn't had any growth hormone or antibiotics or anything pumped into it. It's just the green grass from around here and berries that it eats from around here and apples and such. So this is quite an amazing process here. Now everything gets stacked up. That's two front legs. Everything gets stacked up here. And then it's all thoroughly cleaned, butchered, turned into sausage, and prepped, and then frozen. Call it filet mignon?
No, tenderloin.
Oh, it's tenderloin. Okay.
A lot of people that don't deer hunt a whole lot don't know it, and they discard it when they cut the guts out.
It's like the big muscle that goes right through the back.
Mm-mm. Oh, no. It's like the big muscle. It's a little muscle that don't even get used. That's why it's so tender.
That's awesome. That's like real red meat.
Real tender.
Fuck, dude. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Just hunting. Foraging is an easy thing mentally to do. It's just a matter of actually learning to know what to grab and knowing, if I get a persimmon when it's not ripe, it sucks. There's no point in even grabbing them. So foraging is something you just have to learn. You don't have to get your mind around it. Butchering something, taking the meat home, and cooking it that same day, whether it's a fish or a deer, is something that you do have to actually get your mind around. It's not as easy as just opening a package of styrofoam and saran wrap around a piece of meat, throwing it in a pan and eating it. There is definitely a thought process of, do I want to eat meat, But then I brought the catfish home, and I brought the venison home, and when I eat it, it tastes better than anything else that I buy. So I ran into 2 hunters in Arizona several years ago that changed my mind about this. The first one was a guy who pulled me over on the side of the desert when I was coming out of a backcountry area, and he waved me down and he needed me to jump his truck. And essentially, I jumped his truck, and then he turned off his truck, and he didn't go anywhere. And I thought, well, if I got his truck running, he would pack it up and leave. And I asked him, well, how long are you staying? With the intent to maybe stop back by there in a couple of days to make sure his truck ran for him. And he said, I have to stay until I get meat. He went on. We talked for about 20 minutes and made plans. I would come out every couple of days to take my dog down to this little ravine that I would go to, and I would check on him to see if he needed a jump start. But essentially, he told me that his family, they cannot afford meat. He runs his own company, and if he has work to do, he would be doing that work. If someone hired him for a job, he would go and work. He was a tile guy. But if he didn't have work, he would be out here the whole time until he found meat, because he couldn't afford to buy it at the store. So that was the first, mind blow, where I was like, well, people who just can't afford to buy meat, that's one way to do it, is you go and hunt for it. Then there were these two sisters that both had identical trucks, identical tents, identical setups, Dodge 3500s. And they would come out and they would sit and scope the side of the valley that I was on. So when I left, my way to get out of there, I would drive by their campsite. It was like a double campsite where they would set up their tents. And it was like one sister went online and bought 2 of everything, and they had the same things. They both had 2 kids too. And they would come out and they would glass. They would sit all day and they would look out over the valley for something to hunt. And then eventually they would hunt something. And when I talked to them about hunting and why they would go out and do all this effort for it, because they clearly could go buy stuff at the store. Their trucks were $70,000 a piece. Their camping equipment was another $5,000. Their gun alone was so expensive it would shock you. They said that they can't buy better meat at the store. That the stuff that they buy at the store has this in it and that in it, and they don't know where it comes from. It's not healthy. So in like a course of a couple of weeks, I had wealthy people tell me that they hunt because it's better food that they can't buy at the store. I've had poor people tell me they hunt because they can't afford to buy it. And it all kind of rang in my head, and it's been sitting in my head for the last couple of years, walking through this whole process of, don't buy something from the store, just make it. Why have someone else kill it and hunt it and butcher it and gather it for you? Just do it yourself. I'm starting that process. I know it's going to take me years to become a master at it, but you are going to see more of me fishing. You're going to see more of me gathering. There's a couple of different things that have been pointed out to me that I could do with my property, where I could just make it so animals want to go there and I could hunt on my property. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that we're going to look at, but this was a really exciting last week. And I've been eating really good. We had Thanksgiving too. I went over to Jamie's house for Thanksgiving. It was awesome. So hope everyone enjoyed their holiday, for those of you that celebrated in America. So yeah, thanks for watching. Put a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, even if it's just to say hi. Comment, take the time to do it. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you guys. Enjoy the day.